This video from the Innovation Leaders Club will elaborate on what proactive innovation is. Proactive innovation aims at starting development projects before getting a formal customer request. More precisely, the video will cover how an innovation management system comprises 5 components that group all critical processes required for effective innovation management, as well as how a culture change will promote proactive innovation development, allowing early start instead of rushing a project due to a late start. Don't forget that, as usual, you can access for free all of the content on this video, including the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the tools, if applicable, by clicking the link in the description below. Also, if you like the video, don't hesitate to drop a like, share it with your employees, your colleagues, and even your superiors, and leave us a comment down below. If you don't want to miss a video, subscribe now and get notifications for real and practical innovation management practices coming directly from club members. The Academy works to freely share meeting content discussed during Innovation Leaders Club gatherings. Through online bundles available for a fee, the Academy ultimately provides real and practical methodologies, visuals, and tools that can be edited or customized for your organization, training videos, and much more based on the Innovation Leaders Club members' shared best practices and the collective proficiency of all the members' knowledge. To simplify things for everyone, including your management team, colleagues, and employees, an organization's innovation management system has 5 key components. Innovation strategy is the first component and the foundation of an innovation management system. Innovation strategy. What is it exactly? It quantifies the objectives for innovation. It defines the area of focus and it specifies the implementation plan. It also eases decision-making regarding whether or not an innovation project is relevant to the organization, as it's always the first criteria of any decision-making process. Is it aligned with the strategy or not? Not having an innovation strategy weakens the rest of the system. It's a fundamental starting point which most companies come to realize when they're looking to optimize their innovation management system. They eventually come to the conclusion that they're missing a clear strategy and that it undermines the performance of the system's remaining components. The following 4 components of an innovation management system are directly impacted by the innovation strategy. They can be described as follows. Once the innovation strategy is defined, the front end of innovation should be followed. Its goal is to identify innovation opportunities, generate ideas, and evaluate the initial feasibility of any innovative concept. An innovation opportunity can then be presented at the project portfolio review with sufficient data to decide whether or not the proposal is interesting to pursue. As for portfolio management, the purpose of this component is to select the best project proposals based on the previously defined innovation strategy while considering the organization's development and launch capacity. The Innovation Project Portfolio Review also has the role of maintaining a good balance between high and low-risk projects with the central goal of maximizing the values of the investment in innovation activities. Once the project is selected and resources are allocated, the innovation project is transferred to the developmental phase. Ultimately, this is where the innovation is developed, tested, and validated with customers. The last component of the innovation management system is the launch phase. It encompasses the commercial and operational launch. It's also where innovation efforts start being monetized. The strength of these 5 linear sequential components is that they are simple and easy to understand for the rest of the organization. The reality is that an innovation process is repetitive, but let's keep it linear to keep things simple. Never miss a video. Subscribe now and get notifications for real and practical innovation management practices coming directly from club members. Don't forget to click on the link in the description below to access the content discussed in this video. What happens with or without an innovation strategy? The question is simple. Can an organization innovate without an innovation strategy? Of course it can. However, there is a but. Without an innovation strategy, The innovation efforts are very likely to be scattered. Year after year, results can become unpredictable because of the lack of consistency between innovation launches. And ultimately, overall financial returns will underperform. On the other hand, with a clear innovation strategy, an organization can clearly define where it wants to focus its innovation efforts. It will likely result in a significant impact on sustained innovation and coherence across innovation launches. When the efforts are focused on a few key strategic arenas, the results are more predictable given that they're planned within a 3 to 5 year innovation program. Finally, as the organization is able to develop competencies per strategic arenas, it can leverage them within the overall innovation program. For example, an in-depth market study conducted in year 1 could be used for a few years to support innovation development. Therefore, it maximizes the financial returns by optimizing the reuse of knowledge and platform development. We can see here that the second visual represents a structured resources allocation based on a clear innovation strategy. The concept of strategy comes from a military background as a general plan to ultimately win a war beyond the victories of individual battles. It's been previously understood that the role of strategy is to give meaning to actions. Sun Tzu, the Chinese general, wrote a long time ago that tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. He was quite the avant-gardist innovator. What is an innovation strategy? It's a component of or flows from the corporate strategy and deals specifically with new products, services, technologies, processes, customer experiences, and business models. Its main purpose is to define goals and objectives as well as identify the strategic arenas in which an organization will focus its innovation efforts. The first case usually seen with members is that the innovation strategy supports the implementation of an already planned corporate strategy. It's referred to as a top-down approach. It defines clear growth goals and a few strategic pillars or axes for the organization. The innovation strategy states how the innovation will support the corporate strategy. For example, it clarifies which portion of the growth goal will be supported by innovation if it's not already stated in the corporate strategy. Let's take the case of a member targeting a 5% annual growth. The innovation strategy would then state that 50%, then 2.5% should come from innovative offerings, and that the innovation strategy will result in a 2.5% annual growth. However, which strategic arenas it will come from and on what projects it will be based. The project's estimated value can then be summed up to compare the project's portfolio values to the corporate objectives. The second case is when the innovative strategy supports the development of a corporate strategy. This is referred to as a bottom-up approach. Sometimes an organization doesn't have a defined corporate strategy, and so the intent will be to define the innovation strategy, which will then serve as a starting point for the corporate strategy. In this case, the innovation objectives are based on historical data. After identifying the strategic areas and adding the various project values based on innovation capacity, it can be determined whether or not the portfolio supports the objective set. Once this is done, the corporate strategy can be defined with these innovation objectives in mind. In other cases, some members start by creating their innovation strategy without first having a corporate strategy. The good news is that they at least have a clear innovation plan. This is often true with younger organizations who define themselves through innovation offerings. In this case, the innovation strategy becomes the organization's main strategy. Innovation strategy brings with it a culture change. The organization is moving from reactive to proactive innovation. Proactive innovation strategy. Many club members express that they want to change their corporate culture when it comes to innovation. In fact, many members tend to innovate in reaction to customer demands, just like a fireman who responds to a call to put out a fire. Instead, organizations should adopt a proactive innovation management approach. For example, to meet and listen to customer needs, organizations should proactively identify pain points. They should then work on concept development and present potential solutions to their customers before they even ask for them. A savvy president from a member organization once said, "I don't know a lot of things about innovative management, but I sure know when there's real pain. We'd better find the right solution to remove it, because there's certainly a real market for it. Please spend less time convincing me of proposed solutions and more time convincing me we are truly pursuing solutions that solve real pain." If you let your customers make your innovation decisions for you, they might shift you towards a direction you're not interested in. Generally, customers who ask for new solutions are heavy users or fans of your services. Therefore, they aren't necessarily a reliable representation of your overall target market. In fact, some organizations have ended up over-designing their offerings. The good news is that the product lifecycle management is a tool that can trigger proactive innovation management. There are many more tools involved in the front end of innovation phase. Let's differentiate two parts of a product's lifecycle. From the moment an idea for innovation is included in the definition phase, the innovation development and market launch phases will follow. All these steps need to be considered in the innovation cycle. Once the innovation hits the market, from its introduction phase, followed by growth, maturity, and decline, all these phases will be part of the market cycle. Many organizations use the trigger to initiate an innovation project when current product sales are declining, such as products 1 and 2 on the chart. At this point, they realize that they will need to replace those offerings, and so speed is now of the essence. However, a proactive approach would instead trigger an innovation project when the product sales hit late maturity, such as products 3 and 4 on the chart. And of course, after maturity, there is always the decline. By triggering the innovation proactively, it allows innovators to do their job right. In the case of the ideal scenario, products 1 and 2 are declining because sales are transferring to products 6 and 7, which are growing. Also, projects A and D are being developed to eventually replace products 3 and 4. For a brand owner, it's estimated for 85% of the innovation project that there's no need to rush it. An early start is what you should focus on. Another symptom of reactiveness is when senior management asks to find a way to accelerate the innovation development process because it's perceived as being too slow. While it's often possible to expedite innovation development, it's certainly riskier, more expensive, and comes at the cost of employees' well-being. It should be used when proactivity is not an option anymore. For example, if a competitor is threatening your cash flow. But let's say you have an employee who is often late at work. What advice would you give them? Would you suggest they buy themselves a Ferrari to get to the office faster? Or rather that they leave earlier so that they have some buffer time in case they face traffic? Fast-track development is an approach that organizations should use in exceptional cases, like an ambulance responding to a call. However, if the highway is packed with traffic, this approach loses its effectiveness. Innovation management is the same. For a brand owner, being proactive is the solution for 85% of cases, as opposed to an accelerated process. The best way to start early is by knowing where to put your efforts. This is the purpose of an innovation strategy. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos on innovation management practices discussed during the Innovation Leaders Club meetings. You may also want to get a hold of this free content, including the entire PowerPoint presentation with the text associated in the video, and if applicable, the tools presented. You can find the link to get your free package in the description below. Finally, don't hesitate to leave us a comment or watch the next video to learn even more about innovation management practices.